If you're here to research your upcoming trip to India, then look no further. We're Field of Visions, a family of 3 travelling the world since March 2022, and we've just spent an epic month travelling across India. You could say we've learned a few things along the way, so we're putting together a comprehensive guide to travelling India, arguably one of the best that you've seen to date. So let's get right into it. Being a huge country, there's a few international airports you can fly into. We chose Delhi as there's direct flights from London Heathrow at reasonable prices. When you do finally arrive, there's a few things to know. Before you leave the airport, it's worth taking out some money at the ATMs right outside the arrivals area and get your SIM card sorted here. There's a few telco providers to choose from, but we went for Airtel. You won't have to worry about data and connectivity in India, as the infrastructure is really good and mobile data plans are really affordable. Now, the best way to get from the airport to your hotel is good old Uber. It works here very well and is affordable. There's a dedicated pickup point at Delhi International Airport, which makes it much easier to navigate. So you're most likely going to be knackered from your flight, so some rest and relaxation is in order. The best thing we would suggest is to get something to eat from one of the local places in and around your hotel, or even order some room service and call it a night. Oh, and before I carry on, it's really important to note that the location of your hotel will play a key role in how you enjoy your trip. We stayed in the Paharganj area, which is a localish area with affordable hotels, but also near enough to all the sites so you're not spending loads of time in the Delhi traffic, and it can get some bad. So after some food, get an early night and set your alarms for an hour just before sunrise. One of the things we'd recommend doing is a sunrise boat ride around Yamuna Lake. It's in a unsuspected area tucked away off the main road, but many of the local tuk-tuks will know this area. Lined with local houses and some temples, you can walk around and find an owner of a boat to take you around on a quick tour of the lake. We paid around about 500 rupees for a 30-minute ride, and we even got a little song sang for us as well. After the boat ride, go and get some delicious tea and a spot of local breakfast in and around Jama Masjid Street. We're going to come back here later this evening, and you're going to be able to see how different areas look and feel depending on the time of the day. A good place to escape the afternoon heat is Canary Place. It's a business and financial hub centered on a ring of colonnaded Georgian-style buildings with global chain stores, vintage cinemas, bars and Indian restaurants. And aside from the very British feel you get when you're walking around here, one thing really stood out to us: a Nando's. Yes, we went there just because there was a Nando's and it was halal certified, so we had to get our fix. If you only have a day to spare in Delhi, then you definitely have to visit Jama Masjid. People of all religions, races and background are welcome here, and as soon as we entered this place, one thing that stood out to us was how similar this masjid was compared to Badshahi Mosque in Lahore. It was such a surreal experience. Obviously, the Mughal architecture is very similar, the big open courtyard with an enclosed prayer area. As soon as we stepped in, there was a sense of calmness, which was a welcoming change to the craziness from the outside streets. Walk around, take pictures and wait to hear the call to prayer. To finish off the evening, the best thing you can do is go on a walking food tour with Delhi Food Walks. These guys really made our day. The night before, we walked around the Jama Masjid area on the hunt for some delicious buffalo biryani, which was amazing by the way, but Delhi Food Walks really did know all the spots to eat, and if we didn't go with them, we probably would have missed half of these. From the paratha to authentic teas, fresh Indian sweets to the show-stopping mutton curry, this is the most famous place around Jama Masjid. Soft, tender lamb chop curry cooked in rich spices. Tear off a piece of naan, dip it in the thick gravy and just take in the flavors. This is what Indian food is all about. Do take it easy though with the food, because we went to loads of spots. We went to a famous butter chicken place which served it the authentic way. Grilled chicken, doused in butter and heavy cream, topped off with some spices, coupled with a rumali roti, which is a very thin version of a chapati. And to top it all off, a good old thumbs up, the local Coca-Cola, but 100 times better. Of course, after all that food, there's always room for some dessert, and we went for some Indian ice cream, kulfi. There must have been around 7 to 8 flavors that we tried in total, and every single one hit the spot, especially in this hot, humid weather. Delhi Food Walks was one of the best things we did here, so if you're struggling to find the best places to eat, then let these guys take you around. You will not regret it. Right, so after feasting on city food, we're gonna catch a flight to a destination that will blow your mind. Not many tourists visit here when they come to India, and we just don't know why. Well, actually, we almost missed it too, and thank you Nadia for convincing us to go here. We're heading to Ladakh, the northern mountainous regions of India. Bordering with Tibet, Pakistan and China, the people of this region look completely different to the rest of India. Everything about this place is so different. The food, the culture and the religion. Mainly Tibetan Buddhists and Muslims live in the region, and we're going to spend time exploring this area. But one thing to bear in mind when you do get here though, altitude sickness is a real thing. We got it pretty bad when we arrived and spent the first 3 to 4 days just acclimatizing. So make sure you give yourself some extra time here. People do take altitude sickness medication with them, and although we did have some with us, we decided not to take it and just rest and relax for an extra day. Now, after acclimatizing, it's time to go out and explore. First off, there's the local town of Leh. Just walking around the town is an adventure itself. Visit the local Jama Mosque, drink some tea and eat some samosas in the local market area and take in the natural beauty of this place. It does though get very cold here in the evenings and during the day, depending on what time of the year you go, so make sure you bring some warm clothes with you. There's loads of delicious restaurants to eat from here, but in the evening make sure you visit Bon Appetit restaurant for some delicious garlic chicken and their chocolate momos, which were divine. Now, Leh is the starting point to all the tours around the area, and here you'll book all your tours through one of the many tour operators. The prices here are regulated, and you'll find all the tour guides give the same price, so pick a tour operator near your hotel and book in your trips. Most will sort you out with the local permits that you need in order to visit the sites around Ladakh, as it's a heavily militarized area due to the political tensions between India and Pakistan as well as China. So before booking your tours, it's probably worth deciding where you're going to visit, because all these places are listed on your permit. Now, first off, you have to visit Turtuk village, the furthest village which foreigners can go to, and is very close to the Pakistani border. This village was part of Pakistan until 1971, when the Indian army decided to take the whole region due to security concerns. One morning it was Pakistan, and then in the evening it was India. There's some sad stories to be told here by the locals, who have since never seen their brothers, sisters and parents, as they were stuck on the Pakistani side and were not able to return back. Despite this, the locals are all smiles and so hospitable. It truly did capture a piece of our hearts. Before visiting Turtuk, you need to stay a night in Numbra Valley. This place is home to Numbra Valley sand dunes, a desert in the midst of the mountains, and it really did remind us of Katpana Desert in Skardu. It kind of makes sense though, as they're only a few kilometers apart but just divided by a border. Here you'll get some fun activities, like you can do archeries and camel rides if that's your thing, but definitely a great stop off and a place to rest before heading to Turtuk. After visiting Numbra Valley and Turtuk, on our way back towards Leh, we'd recommend doing a big detour and heading to Pagong Lake. It's a long ride but definitely worth the visit. This is the setting for the famous Bollywood movie 3 Idiots, but that's not what's so special about it. The saltwater lake and its pristine blue color is something to marvel at. Clear as crystal, and it's something so unique. There's no boating activities here, and as with a lot of places in India, no drones allowed, and that's mainly because it borders with China and there's a small piece of land that is disputed between the two countries, kind of like no man's land. After Pagong Lake, head back to Leh and take a break from the hours and hours of driving that you've been doing over the last few days. You'll definitely need it. After a day's rest in Leh, we're going to be up bright and early once again and head over to Pugat Valley. Known for its natural beauty and geothermal activities, there's a hot spring in the middle of the valley that is something really unique. And if you want to see the fields when they're green, make sure you visit during the months of May through to August. Otherwise, you may end up seeing something like this. Ladakh is truly a unique region of India, which is completely different to other parts that you're going to be seeing in the rest of your trip. So definitely take some time out to visit this region. Right, so that's the north done. We're heading back down to Delhi on a plane obviously, and we're going to go to Agra to see one of the wonders of the world, the Taj Mahal. When we arrived in Delhi, we just got an Uber from the airport and told the driver to take us to Agra. Don't be alarmed if the driver asks you to cancel the Uber ride and pay him directly. It is a long way to go and Uber takes a huge commission, so it just makes it worthwhile for the driver. When you arrive in Agra, check into your hotel, get something to eat, relax and set your alarms for around around 4:30 a.m. because it's going to be an early start. One thing we would definitely recommend is getting a tour guide to take you around the Taj Mahal, and your hotel should be able to arrange this for you. We recommend getting one as they'll know all the best spots away from the crowds and give some historical context to the amazing architecture and history behind this wonderful place. They'll also prep you on how to beat the crowds and get organized so you go through the security checks in the morning very easily. Yes, there are security checks and it's very strict entrance policy. So here's some tips on making your entrance into Taj Mahal really easy and smooth for yourself. Number 1, don't take food, crisps, chocolates or snacks or anything like that in your bag. Food is not allowed to keep the area clean. Littering is an issue in the area and the only way to combat this here is to simply ban food from going in. Number 2, tripods and external microphones on your camera are not allowed. Selfie sticks are fine though, it's just a thing to be able to control the crowds and hold up people from taking too much time in setting up the perfect shots, and that's why having a guide with you is really important. Tip number 3, be at the West Gate for around 5:30 a.m. Ticket sales open at 5:40 now and you want to be the first in line for those amazing shots. Number 4, when you make it through security and enter the complex, skip stopping and go all the way to the front. Everyone stops and takes in the marvel as soon as they see the Taj Mahal, and this is where the crowd builds up. So what we did was we walked right to the front and what we found was all the place was empty and we had it to ourselves to take those shots right away. Your guide will be more than happy to take all the pictures you want and show you around. Make the most of them. And once you're done, rest and relax and take in the beauty of these places. We were about to pay $250 for a professional photographer to take pictures of us in the Taj Mahal, but our guide did such an amazing job, we tipped him at the end. Getting our guide was one of the best things that we did and we got to see the Taj Mahal in such a relaxed way. Without him, we would have been stuck in the crowds and not enjoyed it as much as we did. So it's definitely recommended. Now, aside from the Taj Mahal, there's not really much else to do in the Agra area. We'd recommend, after visiting the Taj Mahal in the morning, checking out your hotel and making your way to Jaipur, which is also known as the Pink City. There's a few spots to see here and one of the most famous ones is Hawa Haveli, an old Haveli of the Maharaja known for its distinct windows where the Maharaja's wives would see the activities of the streets down below through the windows. Amber Palace and Amber Fort are worth visiting, though it's a good idea to get here early in the morning to beat the crowds. We went there on a public holiday and it was really crowded, but thanks to our tour guide we were able to navigate around the palace and the fort area quite easily. When you're in Jaipur, we'd recommend hiring a driver for the day and he'll wait around for you as you get a good price for your guided tour, and also when you visit the various different spots. It just makes that life a lot easier rather than waiting around for taxis as you travel between short distances. After Jaipur, we'd recommend getting a short flight to Mumbai. Now, Mumbai was a city that really surprised us. We were a little tight on time and we were close to missing it, but we're glad we spent at least one day here exploring the city, though this wasn't even enough. We started the morning off with a walk to the Gateway of India, and this is where the last British soldiers left India and handed it back to the Indian government. An iconic moment for the country. Right by the Gateway to India is the Taj Hotel, the most iconic and luxurious hotel in all of Mumbai, but recently was the location of terror attacks that saw hundreds of people die in a single siege. Spend the afternoon walking around one of the many markets and finish the evening off with a sunset at Marine Drive, one of the most stunning sunset locations in India. One thing to note though is that in the most of India, security is taken really serious here, so be careful when you're flying the drone. We unassumingly flew our drone here and ended up being spoken to by 3 different police officers in the space of 3 hours. So definitely don't make the same mistake that we did. Now, Goa is a good spot as your next destinations. There's a number of ways to get here. You can either get the train from Mumbai all the way down to Goa, or like us, take the more convenient route and get a flight. Goa really did surprise us and is a place that you really should take some time out and visit. Not only are the beaches beautiful and come with some crazy fire sunsets, the food scene here surprisingly is really good if you know where to go. We stayed in South Goa and this is a really family friendly area and has a relaxed vibe to it. Our Airbnb host was a real foodie and luckily gave us 3 places that just blew us away, and we also found one additional hidden gem. For Western food, go to the Off-White Bar and Grill. Everything on this menu was great and we literally indulged here. Though make sure you have your transportation to and from your hotel arranged, because taxis around this area are quite hard to get to, as we found out when we were leaving the restaurant. Goodfella Pizza is really great for an authentic Italian pizza experience, and it's also in a place you would not expect it. Johnsey's has really good seafood and a nice view, though we didn't personally rate this place. But the one that really stole the show away was Katavina for a unique Goan experience. Here, every dish has a story behind it, and the tasting menu gives you a flavor of every single dish that they have on the menu. We'd definitely recommend it. It is a little bit pricey, but we'll recommend it for that once in a lifetime Goan experience. Aside from indulging yourself in the local food scene, one of our favorite things to do in Goa was just to take a stroll along the beach at sunset and watch the fishermen bring in their catch of the day and sell it to the local markets. We did this 3 days in a row, and each day it was just as nice. Before we headed out of Goa to our next destination, we drove through the north and just walked around the Portuguese influenced street in the Panjali area. It was like walking around the side streets of a Portuguese town, and having recently just come back from Portugal, it all felt so surreal. We got chatting to one of the locals and he explained the history behind the Portuguese influence in the region, and it just started to make all more sense to us. When you walk around these beautiful streets, they're full of young locals wanting to take that perfect Instagram shot, and I don't blame them. Each and every place has this unique feel to it. Now, after experiencing Goa, we're heading south where things look completely different once again to the rest of India. We're going to Kochi, and this is where the country gets tropical, and dare I say it, more similar to Sri Lanka than the traditional India you and I may know it as. We stayed at the Barracks Hotel, which is a family-run place offering a unique homestay feel to it. In the morning, get up bright and early and do a day tour around the local area with a tuk-tuk driver. You can stop one of the many tuk-tuk drivers that are driving around, and they'll be able to take you to all the different sites that you can see. You've got the Chinese fishing nets, various Catholic churches such as Santa Cruz and St. Francis Church, walk along the Fort Kochi beach and get a history lesson at the Indo-Portuguese Museum. Kochi is quite a small town and there's not much to do here, so a couple of nights here will do the trick. Our favourite place to eat here was at Kissa Cafe. The breakfast here was surprisingly decent and they served up a really good coffee. Now, this is our guide to travelling India. Obviously, with a country this size, it's really hard to make a full guide, so these are just our best picks. Let us know if you've travelled to any of these places and what you thought. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more adventures and give us a follow on our other social media pages.